talk about when we hang out. I adore this man. Reverend Solomon Missouri was born to the Reverend James F. Missouri and Janie Missouri in 1981, a native of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Roll Tide, Roll Tide. I shouldn't be saying that because I grew up in Florida then. But at the age of 7, he gave his life to the Lord and joined the Weeping Mary AME Zion Church in Holt, Alabama. At the age of 17, he accepted the call to ministry and preached his initial sermon at Bethel AME Zion Church in Brighton, Alabama. He attended Alabama State University, where he received his undergraduate degree in business administration in 2005. Upon completion, he began graduate work at Mercer University, McAfee School of Theology in Atlanta, Georgia. At McAfee, he received Master's in Divinity and Business in 2012. While working on his master's degree, he served as a local preacher at Faith AME Zion Church in Atlanta, Georgia. In 2013, he was ordained as deacon in the church. May 2014, he began to supply Hemp Hill AME Zion Church in Summerville, Georgia. Hemp Hill is a justice-seeking, Jesus-centered, joy-transmitting congregation of God's best, serving North Georgia with the love of a risen Christ. And in 2015, he was ordained as an elder in the church. He continues to serve as pastor of Powell's Temple AME Zion Church in Durham, Full City, North Carolina. Grateful for him. I'm grateful. A couple things personally, really fast. I'm grateful for his love for our city, for Durham, his passion to lead his community. I'm grateful for his friendship. I recently just got back recently went out to Washington, D.C. My best friend is a big-time marketing exec for DirecTV. He runs all their comms. He got me into the African American History Museum, where they were screening a documentary, a brand new documentary on Harriet, Tubman, and Frederick Douglass. Now, we watched the condensed versions of those documentaries. It was in the Oprah Winfrey Theater, and I was just like, I thought Barack and Michelle was going to show up, and the thing where I was literally going to pass out. Here's the thing. We watched about 20 minutes of the Frederick Douglass documentary. It's going to be aired on October 4th. And Frederick Douglass, I found out through the documentary, was the most photographed man in 19th century America. The most photographed man in 19th century America. And you know what? It was on purpose. He did it for a reason. Why? He believed in harnessing the power of media to promote Black intelligence and excellence. Because at that time, there were harmful and derogatory caricatures of Black folks in America. Minstrel shows, working on the plantation. So you see all these photos of Frederick Douglass, and he has this intense stare, this conviction in his eyes. And I remember watching the documentary, seeing that, and when I think about Reverend Missouri and the work he's doing in Durham, knowing him personally, there is a conviction in his eyes. There is a purpose in his step that I find so invigorating and so inspiring. And so I am so grateful that you guys get to hear my friend, an incredible community leader in Durham. I'm grateful that you get to experience that conviction, at least a small snippet of that conviction today. Let's give it up for Reverend Solomon.
That you have the occasion to greet your friends at work. So more than anything, I wanted to do this because I was able to greet my friend at work. We are grateful for the life and the witness of Dr. Briscoe. He is a nerd like to myself, and so we have occasion to sit around and talk about nerd stuff. I don't just do that with everybody. I'm gonna put some of this stuff down on the floor. I was so concerned that we would be outside. I said, I did not dress to be outside. let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I mean, surely I don't have the capacity nor ability to change the chaos and crucible that we find ourselves in as Americans today. Surely my little example can't do very much. But let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Yes, sir.
On September the 14th, 2022, the state of Florida requisitioned 50 souls from Texas. 50 immigrants from Venezuela seeking asylum on these our shores. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Seeking asylum, the reality for more than 6.1 million refugees and migrants who have left Venezuela as a result of political turmoil, socio-economic instability, and the ongoing humanitarian crisis. Let there be peace on earth. And let it begin with me. 6 million people trying to find safety and security, maybe a little bit of peace on earth for themselves. 50 of them are requisitioned from the state of Florida, sent to a place called Martha's Vineyard. Their crisis becomes our crucible as the exploitation and political manipulation of the global South manifest on American shores. Brothers and sisters, friends of the divine, this is not an accident nor a happenstance. A manufactured humanitarian crisis is the fruits of capitalistic greed, global immorality. When cruelty and inhumanity work as they are designed to work, it's not an accident, it's an attack.
Preach.
An attack on our humanity, an attack on our personal dignity. An attack on compassion. 50 souls are requisitioned, moved from Texas to Florida. I'm intentional about using the language of bureaucracy as a description of the careless, callous, and willful disregard of humanity exhibited by governors that call themselves Christians but have made a home peddling cruelty. 50 souls requisitioned from the state of Texas moved to the state of Florida in order to facilitate a theater of politics. 50 immigrants seeking shelter requisitioned to the state of Florida in order to play a humanitarian shell game. 50 souls that are loved and cared for by the divine moved around the country like meaningless objects. 50 souls that came to this nation's borders seeking the promise of the city on a hill to give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp aside the golden door. 50 souls that simply want the promise of America. Some of us were born into the promise. Some of us moved into the promise. But all of us are trying to, receive.
Yes, sir.
Promise. 50 souls. Send those who are endangered. Send those running for shelter. Send those who are hungry and hurting. Send 50 souls to a distant place on a distant shore in a sick game of political one-upsmanship in the land of the free and the home of the brave, reeling from the cracks in its foundation. How inscrutable is it for the descendants of people kicked off of this land and this country
to no longer be welcomed to the land of greatness. Friends, there is a fundamental flaw in the fiber of the American consciousness. A glaring omission to the supposed core tenets of American life: liberty and the pursuit of justice. A willful exemption to the Rockwellian values that we so often protest to aspire to. We have been told one thing, but there is an education happening in the subspace of America. There is a battle between what we have been told and what we are being taught. We have been told that there is enough America for everyone, but we have been taught the scarcity of liberty. We have been told that there are enough dreams to go around, but we have been taught that simple humanity is the prize of the select few. We have been told of the promise of meritocracy, but we have been taught that the promise of working hard and pulling yourself up is really only for the select few. There is a flaw in the consciousness of this experiment known as America. Failure to synthesize our rhetoric with our reality. It has resulted in a conversation without conviction. We hear that conversation every night on the news. We hear battling pundits every evening on the news with plenty of conversation but very little conviction. The crisis in the American consciousness, the fuel for racism, sexism, and homophobia, the crisis found in the very fabric of this nation, the crisis in the consciousness of this country is not critical race theory. The crisis in the consciousness of this country is not immigrant caravans. They're not here, nor coming here to take your jobs, steal your power. You're not a boogeyman here to harm or assault you. They simply want peace on. The crisis in the consciousness of America is not bodily autonomy for child-bearing people. That is not the danger of this land. The crisis in the consciousness of our nation is the belief in scarcity. We have been taught that there's simply not enough. And anytime you're taught that there is not enough, your currency becomes fear.
Praise God.
Scarcity is the lesson of this land. A goodly number of us have been led to streams of nationalism because of scarcity. Led to the river of political tribalism in order to retain power because of scarcity. Led to fountains of hate to harm fellow humans because of scarcity. Scarcity is just propagandized pebbles of the Americanized fiction. That just because somebody tells you something don't make it true. So the question of our moment, the challenge of our day, will we have the audacity, integrity, strength, and courage to stand in this moment?
Yes, sir.
Simply, is there enough to go around? I mean, we are the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. Is there enough to go around? 5 of the richest men in the world find their feet to be comforted on these lands. Is there enough to go around? Billionaires and multi-billionaires don't pay as much taxes as you do. Is there enough to go around? Surely, there's enough to go around. Maybe, perhaps there's enough for the citizens of Jackson, Mississippi, over 81% African American, but still don't have clean drinking water. But can I help you, children of the divine? It ain't just Jackson. It's Detroit, it's Baltimore, it's a little place that I used to pastor called Somerville, Georgia. All of these people are Americans with not enough. I mean, surely there's enough to go around right here in the good city of Raleigh, North Carolina. In the summer, gas was $5 a gallon. But there's not a single oil company that lost money. As a matter of fact, they made record profits while people suffered. Is there enough to go around? Maybe if you have the complexion for protection, there's enough to go around. Maybe if your hair is not kinky and curly, there's enough to go around. Maybe if the good Lord kept you in the oven just a little longer, there's enough to go around. Beloved friends, the primary religion of America is not Christianity, it's not Islam, it's not Judaism.
Say it.
The primary religion of the American experience is scarcity. And weekly, we worship at the altar of scarcity. Weekly, we feed our fears with the feast of scarcity. The media forces take us to the sanctuaries of scarcity and insecurity. Pundits mount pulpits of misinformation to peddle scarcity. Alex Jones uses his bully pulpit to peddle scarcity. Here is our challenge. Are we bold enough to put our trust in the divine? Are we audacious enough to push back from the narrative of scarcity in our land? Are we brave enough to say enough is enough, that if we put God in God, we trust on our currency, surely we have the audacity to live in the compassion of the divine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Y'all brought me here to answer a question, so let me try. How do we end racism? That's a really big question. And I am not a researcher, I'm a practitioner. And I can tell you that racism and ending racism involves spiritual revolution, systemic investment, and deep soul work, but I only deal in one of those areas, so let me talk about my business. My business is the business of the soul. And the ending of racism begins with 4 simple words. 4 words will send the demon of racism and nationalism to flight. 4 words will chill us and thrill us and push us and press us forward. I will not fear. I will not fear because there is enough for my dreams. There's enough space and there's enough room and there's enough opportunity in the greatness of this land for my dreams. Yes, I can still have a dream. I'm not Martin Luther King, but I got some dreams, some things I want to do.
Come on.
And there is enough room for my dreams. But stay with me, children of the divine. There is enough room for your dreams. I will not fear because there is enough room for the dreams and the goals and the mission and the call that the divine has placed inside of you. There is enough room for your dream. I will not fear your dream. I'm not scared of what you bring to this soup, this gumbo, as Dr. Jonathan C. Augustine talks about in his book called The Reconciliation. I'm not scared of your ingredient. There is enough America for us all to flourish. I will not fear. I don't need power, I need love. I will not fear. We are not losing America. We are changing her. I will not fear. When there is absence of fear, there is the fullness of faith. And together, we can be greater than we've ever been apart.
Bless you and thank you.